Hi Wednesday Wanderers, it's Ranger Erin, and we're asking the question, what is a sinkhole? So you may have been walking along at some point and then you see a dip in the ground, just a little dip in the ground or even a hole that you're not sure where it's leading to and you don't think that an animal made it. Well, you may have come across a sinkhole. So these sinkholes, we've got lots of them all over Kentucky. We call Kentucky a karst topography because it has this particular type of stone, mostly limestones and dollostones, which are easily eroded away. So a sinkhole is going to be formed by that chemical weathering and erosion below ground. That bedrock is just kind of dissolved away, and then that soil will drop down on top of it. Our rain is just slightly acidic. It's less acidic than coffee, it's less acidic than soda that you might drink, but it's just a little bit acidic. And over a long period of time, hundreds of years, or even sometimes just decades, that acid in the rain is going to leach down into the soil and it's going to chemically erode away. It's going to kind of dissolve those softer stones, that limestone and that dollostone, which are going to get carried away, that erosion getting carried away. And then again, most of the time, these sinkholes, they form very gradually, very slowly over time. So that soil on top will just kind of melt down on top of that cavern that's formed below, and then a little bit more is dissolved away and it sinks down a little bit deeper. But every so often, these caverns that are formed below ground, so a little pocket of air underground, they might have a harder rock on top of it that's not so easily eroded. So if you've got that softer rock below a harder rock, that harder rock that isn't going to dissolve so easily is going to hold up the soil. So then you're going to have a cave that forms underneath there. And Kentucky has lots of caves and lots of sinkholes because we have that karst topography. Now, two famous events that happened that you might have heard about in the past 10 years are the sinkhole that formed underneath the Corvette Museum that's down in Bowling Green, and several cars were actually swallowed up by this sudden event where it just kind of the ground collapsed underneath it. And then more recently, we had a sinkhole, a cave that kind of broke down. That top rock wasn't strong enough to hold it anymore, and it fell down into that sinkhole that formed underneath the Louisville Zoo. So sometimes those sinkholes do kind of happen very suddenly, but most of the time it's over a really long period of time. When you're going out on your hike, it doesn't matter where you choose to go. We're going to have sinkholes underneath the forest. We're going to have sinkholes along creek beds. We're going to have sinkholes that are going to be out in open prairie areas. So you can choose kind of anywhere. And you're going to be looking for a dip in the ground. We're going to call that depression in the ground that doesn't look like it's attached to a creek bed. So sometimes you'll see dips and pools in dry creek beds. Then make sure that what you're looking at isn't attached to a creek bed. I've got a really well-formed sinkhole over here. It is as big as a car, and it is at least 4 feet deep, and I see a few different holes down in there. I'm not going to climb all the way down in there because I feel like there's probably going to be some pockets of loose dirt that maybe there's some more caverns down in there. So I don't think it'll be safe for me to step in there, but this is a sinkhole that's been formed by a long time. So some really soft rock underneath here that got eroded away and has been forming this big dip in the ground for a while. We'll get a little bit closer so you can see some of those little holes. There might even be a cave that's attached to this sinkhole. Pretty cool stuff. Here we've got a sinkhole in a more forested area. And winter is just a great time to go searching for sinkholes because with all of the leaves on the ground, you can really kind of see the shape of the land. So this one is not as wide across, but it is quite a bit deeper, and I'm actually a little bit inside it right now. So it's got to be at least 5 feet, maybe even 6 feet deep. The last sinkhole I'm going to show you is down here in the Moss Gibbs Woodland Garden. And this one is neat because we've had an artist actually add some elements. So they did a little art installation to kind of highlight that strange beauty of a sinkhole. For an indoor experiment, we're going to be playing around with a little bit of chemical erosion. So we're going to work with a stronger acid than our rain, just a little bit of vinegar, still safe to handle. You're going to need a chalk, so something of kind of like a very soft stone. It's kind of made out of the same stuff that our limestone is, a lot of calcium in there, but it's a lot softer than our limestone. And then if you want a little bit of baking powder, and that's just kind of a secondary experiment for a little bit more fun. Now, if you notice on this chalk, I've been dripping some vinegar on it for a little while, and it's already started to make a little depression in there, kind of like a sinkhole, and then it's got that erosion down the side of it where it's worn away that very soft chalk. So over time, I've just been dripping a little bit of vinegar right in that depression. It's taken me about a day to get that depression in there. And then for that second experiment, just to see how that acid reacts with some fun stuff, we got some baking powder over here, so you can play around with dripping and seeing what happens with adding that acid to that baking soda. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch you all next time.